The governor of New York State, Andrew Cuomo, has announced his resignation in the face of a sexual harassment scandal. He will quit office in 2 weeks' time. Aid organisations are warning of a humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan as hundreds of thousands of civilians have been displaced in fighting, which has seen the Taliban advance across the country. The group campaigning to free Dubai royal princess Latifa has disbanded after a cousin met her in Iceland and said she appeared happy and focused on her plans. A photo of the princess was posted on Instagram. And Lionel Messi, the world's best paid footballer, is moving to Paris Saint-Germain. The Argentinian has played for Barcelona for more than 20 years, but had to leave the club for financial reasons.
In North Korea, Kim Yo-jong, sister to the country's leader, said South Korea will face new security threats for joint military exercises with the United States. In Sweden, a former Iranian prison official denies involvement in the 1988 execution of thousands of political prisoners during his trial for war crimes and murder. In the U.S., New York Governor Andrew Cuomo resigns over accusations that he sexually harassed at least 11 women. And in Bangladesh, the government and aid agencies start vaccinating 1 million Rohingya refugees as infections increase.
Joining us now is Dr. Richard Besser, president of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and former acting director of the CDC. Rich, you're a pediatrician. Do you agree with the growing call from the American Academy of Pediatricians urging the FDA to authorize vaccines for children under 12 as soon as possible?
Well, I think the key there, Robin, is as soon as possible. You know, as a pediatrician, I want to make sure that they are getting all of the safety data that they need to know that if I'm recommending these for my patients, they truly are safe. Hopefully they'll have that information soon, but we can't count on vaccines for children protecting our children in schools this fall.
And Rich, we're also hearing about children dealing with long COVID, ongoing symptoms even after recovering. How concerned are you about this?
Well, you know, what it says to me is that there's a lot we don't know about this virus and its effect on everybody, in particular in children. And because of that, I urge parents, I urge schools, I urge governors not to underestimate what we're dealing with here. And we need to take all the steps that we can to keep our children safe.
So with back to school season in full swing in parts of the country, and we just saw this in Victor's report, the battle over mask mandates in schools really heating up. Do you believe parents should get to choose if their children wear masks to school, or should states and districts decide?
That developing story on Prince Andrew, the royal now facing a new lawsuit for alleged sexual abuse. In panels at Buckingham Palace with what we know right now. Good morning, Ian.
Yeah, that's right, Michael. This morning, Prince Andrew facing a lawsuit from one of Jeffrey Epstein's most outspoken accusers, Virginia Giuffre, who's long accused Prince Andrew of abusing her when she was underage, filing a lawsuit now in New York Monday. The lawsuit's alleging that she faced threats from Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell and Prince Andrew to engage in the abuse. Now, Prince Andrew has publicly denied the allegations in the past, telling the BBC here in an interview, "I can absolutely categorically tell you it never happened." Ghislaine Maxwell has also repeatedly denied her allegations. Prince Andrew's spokesperson saying no comment when asked about the lawsuit overnight. Buckingham Palace only saying it is a legal matter and for his lawyers to respond. Michael?
Ian, now that the lawsuit's been filed, what's next? Could Prince Andrew be forced to stand trial here in the U.S.?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the short answer is no. Prince Andrew can't be forced to stand trial in a civil suit in the United States, but he could be forced to pay damages if there's a default judgment against him. But clearly this is very bad for his reputation and, of course, by association, the reputation of the British royal family.
The extreme weather, a tornado outbreak in the Midwest overnight, more than 130 million under heat alerts across the country. Rob is in for Ginger and tracking it all for us. Good morning, Rob.
Hey, good morning, Rob. You know, the heat that's building across the Midwest, that is fueling some of these thunderstorms. We had a tornado outbreak in northern Illinois yesterday. You don't typically get that in the middle of summer, but that's what we had. We had some damage with it as well. This is just south of Rockport, one of 16 tornadoes that were reported there. You see the debris flying up from some of those farming structures. And just about 15 to 20 miles east of here, We saw another tornado that touched down and did similar action. Luckily, nobody was injured, but certainly frightening stuff, and there was damage done today or yesterday. Today, we look for more in the way of severe weathers just to the east and north of here into Wisconsin, and the heat wave is building across the central part of the country. 130 million people under heat advisories right now, and then both coasts, the northwest and the northeast, have heat waves building as well. This could be dangerous heat heading over the next couple of days.
It is a matter of life and death, government operations. And wasting energy on distractions is the last thing that state government should be doing. And I cannot be the cause of that. New York tough means New York loving. And I love New York. And I love you. And everything I have ever done has been motivated by that love. And I would never want to be unhelpful in any way. And I think that given the circumstances, the best way I can help now is if I step aside and let government get back to governing. And therefore, that's what I'll do. Because I work for you. And doing the right thing is doing the right thing for you. Because as we say, it's not about me, it's about we. Kathy Hochul, my lieutenant governor, is smart and competent. This transition must be seamless. We have a lot going on. I'm very worried about the Delta variant, and so should you be. But she can come up to speed quickly, and my resignation will be effective in 14 days.
Officials here in Tokyo continue to deal with the rapid spread of the coronavirus. On Tuesday, they confirmed the highest number of COVID-19 patients in serious condition. The figure totaled 176, up 19 from Monday. That's the highest since the start of the pandemic. About 70% of the patients are in their 50s or younger. Those in their 40s and 50s show a sharp increase.
We're now experiencing the largest number of those in their 50s or younger compared to the past coronavirus waves.
He said patient numbers are also growing outside Tokyo, and he stresses the need to tackle the problem throughout the country. The number of new coronavirus infections nationwide topped 10,000 on Tuesday. 19 deaths were reported. And some people who've been infected are being turned away from hospitals as the coronavirus situation puts an intense strain on the medical system. In one case, a Tokyo resident in his 50s tested positive earlier this month. He was recuperating at home, but began showing serious symptoms after a couple of days. His breathing became difficult, and he needed to get to a hospital. But the ambulance crew told him he'd been rejected by about 120 institutions. He was finally admitted to a hospital in Tokyo after more than 5 hours. The hospital says its emergency beds for seriously ill patients are always full. It says it's had to turn down requests from other institutions and paramedics.
We've never experienced so many requests to be admitted to hospital. We have to seriously consider that the chances of saving lives that could be saved might be lost.
As of Monday, more than 17,000 people in the capital who tested positive for the coronavirus were isolating at home. That's more than 11 times the number a month ago. The Afghan government is calling on citizens to take up arms as fighting escalates with the Taliban. Both sides are now seeking control of a transportation hub in the north. Taliban militants have been rapidly gaining ground amid the U.S. military's full withdrawal from the country. Since last week, they've seized control of 6 provincial capitals. They're now going after Mazar-e-Sharif, a major city near the border with Uzbekistan. The Afghan government says it'll fight back together with an influential warlord from the north. Many people have fled to the capital, Kabul. UNICEF says 27 children were killed in the 3 days through Monday. It blames both sides and says the atrocities grow higher by the day. A U.S. Defense Department spokesperson acknowledged the worsening environment.
The Secretary shares the concern of the international community about the security situation in Afghanistan, which is clearly not going in the right direction.
Kirby says the U.S. military still plans to completely withdraw from the country by the end of this month. An international conference on peace in Afghanistan is scheduled for this week in Qatar. Representatives from the Afghan government, the Taliban, the U.S., and Pakistan are expected to attend. A Japanese research institute says China has outstripped the United States for the first time in quality of research papers in natural sciences. Japan's National Institute of Science and Technology Policy analyzed scientific papers published globally over the 3-year period through 2019. China was responsible for more than 40,000 of the top 10% of the most cited papers. The number of papers quoted in other theses is deemed to be an indicator of quality. The United States came in second. It had over 37,000 papers in the top bracket. Japan ranked 10th with over 3,700. It was leapfrogged by India into 9th place with more than 4,000. Now, in terms of quantity, China is also leading the way. The country put out an average of more than 353,000 papers per year. The U.S. averaged about 285,000. It was the second year in a row China outstripped the U.S. in this category. Germany came in third with around 68,000, followed by Japan with over 65,000. Now, an institute official says China has gained momentum in recent years due to a rise in the number of its researchers and funding. The official says Japan needs to increase its number of doctoral students and the hours its scientists spend on research. Authorities in Japan are urging people in the north to stay alert for heavy rain, winds, high waves, and mudslides after a severe weather system passed through the country. Tropical storm Lupit was downgraded to a low-pressure system before moving over the northeastern Tohoku region on Tuesday. Meteorological agency officials say 300 millimeters of rain were recorded during a 24-hour period through the afternoon in some areas. Houses were flooded in Aomori Prefecture.
Water from a river surged into the area around my house with tremendous force.
Torrential rain also struck the western prefecture of Shimane on Monday. One man is missing after being swept away by a swollen river. And in neighboring Okayama Prefecture, a man was found dead after strong winds blew him off a boat into the sea. In other news, the head of Japan's Immigration Services Agency has apologized for the death of a Sri Lankan woman in March while in detention. A final report on the probe into the case of Wishma Sandamali found the facility had violated its internal rules.
The Nagoya Bureau lacked of a sense of urgency and awareness as a government body in charge of human lives. I think this brings to light the problems with the current immigration control system.
Wishma was detained at the facility in Nagoya, central Japan, for overstaying her visa. She began complaining of poor health in January and died 2 months later at the age of 33. The report says the staff did not convey her demands to be treated at a medical institution to the regional director. The staff decided to reject her request on their own. When Wishma's condition worsened, it was non-medical staff who responded. The probe found the facility lacked an adequate system to provide medical care. The agency reprimanded the bureau director and a former deputy director. 2 other senior officials got strict warnings. Justice Minister Kamikawa Yoko has also offered an apology. The Immigration Services chief told reporters she plans to apologize directly to Wishma's family and release video of her at the facility. Next in sports, Japan's annual summer high school baseball tournament has kicked off. The event, which is over 100 years old, was canceled last year due to the coronavirus pandemic. 49 teams from all of Japan's prefectures compete in the national championship at Hanshin Koshien Stadium. No fans are allowed in the stands as an anti-virus measure. A player took the oath at the opening ceremony on Tuesday. He pledged everyone would perform to the best of their abilities to remind people striving for a dream is a wonderful thing. The tournament runs for 17 days. The final is scheduled for August 26th.